Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So we have an interesting story today. A woman is sharing why she is no longer a pastor's wife. So perspective of a former pastor's wife. Let's get into it and hear what she's got to say.
Okay, here is
Why is
part
it no
one
longer?
of why I am no longer a pastor's wife. I got married at 20 years old. I know I only look 20. I'm 28 and I got married at 20.
That was quite early.
And at that time, what I now know, obviously being very young, is that my life was really broken. I was really broken from seeing my parents go through divorce. I was really broken, which was like a 6.5 year process. I think my mom told me when I was in the 6th grade that she and my dad were going to be divorcing, and they did not finally divorce until I was like 10th or 11th grade. So for all of those years, I was like, my parents are going to be together, they're not. My parents are together, they're not. Within that span of time, I also witnessed 3 of them.
I'm just imagining what that must have done to her. It must have been very, very traumatic. This is coming from a, a polygamous girl. No, that came around. A girl from a polygamous
The
family.
closest, like 3 very close family members passed away: my grandmother, my great grandmother, and my uncle, all within the span of like 2.5 years. And I remember also like leaving my childhood home, not getting to say goodbye to my childhood home, and a culmination of things. And so my mindset getting married so early was, I want a family. I want to create what I no longer have. And I would say that I also.
I mean, that's very dangerous. And I'm sure a lot of people are in this same circle because they are craving a family. They just want, do that. I saw a comment somewhere, somebody said her friend told her that she's giving birth to so many children by so many men because she wants to create the family that she wants for herself. That's very traumatic because you've not healed. There's no way on earth you are ever going to be able to create a family, a healthy family. Because at the age of 20, and of course, she's still developing, so she didn't know any better. Man, wow.
Had the most amazing mom, in the sense that she is such a nurturing soul. She was a stay-at-home mom, and I was like, I want to be like her. And I remember after I graduated high school, I'm making this, because it's only like 2-3 years until I met, my former spouse. I graduated high school and I wanted to go to performing arts school, and there were a lot of things that prohibited that from happening. I think there was a lot of fear, and I also think that one of the biggest factors was the relationship that I had with my mom at that time. And I really allowed her influence in my life to deter me from going that direction, to the school that I really wanted to go to. And I just was in a very shaky place in my relationship with God. I've known God my whole entire life. People will joke and say like, oh, I bet you were so fun before you were a Christian. I have never not identified as a Christian. I've always known Jesus. I got baptized at like 7-8 years old, and I love him. First and foremost, I love him. That's my dog. Like, I would not be here without him. And I think the decision not to go to performing arts school left me very lost and confused. And the one thing that I started to realize that I loved a lot was ministry. And I had this mindset, deciding not to go to performing arts school, that if I was not going to go, I had this mindset like, oh, I'm gonna like then sing for God. Like, I don't want to sing for the world, I want to sing for God. And so that then put me in this space in ministry where I was like very fascinated with how the church worked, and always like I went to a performing arts elementary school, like literally kindergarten through 5th grade. So I've always had a natural like desire for the platform.
Let me show you guys this handcrafted tie and dye shirts. It's so lovely. It's one of my favorite things. Let me show you another. So this comes in blue and white. Just if you want to shop, go to the link in the description. You have several other items there too, but I just wanted to show you guys this one before we continue. You can see me wearing it in the video that I'm doing today. So yeah. So for those of you that may want to something like this done for you, maybe for your bridal showers, anything for school, anything you want, like a group, like a bulk order, you want it a specific one done for you, there's my direct email is in my description. Send me an email with your order, then we can take the discussion from there. But yeah, let's continue this video. Let's go back to the video.
Not in any other sense outside of the fact that like I feel very alive on stage. I feel like being on a platform is a skill and a gift that God has given me in the world and in the church. And I was just like at this place where like, how do these like sectors kind of like how do they come together? So my type was men who were on the platform and things of this nature, and I very much so like gravitated towards that type of man, specifically in ministry. And it wasn't very far off for me, considering that I had grown up in the church my entire life. During COVID was the longest period of time that I've ever not attended church, and that is a little bit of backstory just to produce insight as to why I kind of like got married young, one, what my life looked like prior to, and I'm also sharing a little bit about like my own struggles and my own like hurts and like childhood traumas, because this is in no way, shape, or form a direct like this isn't like a like you also have to like look within yourself and be like, why did you make this decision? You were young, you didn't know any better. These were the things that you struggled with, these were the things that you went through, and these were the things that ultimately led to you making this decision. Okay, so meeting then my former spouse was at a church that I had been attending for several years, where I grew up in Georgia. And at that time I saw him, and I have the story on YouTube. A lot of y'all know this. Some of y'all are like real slick with it, like I remember seeing on YouTube. God, like crazy God story, how I met my husband. I will gladly put that video back up for y'all to look at. Gladly. He ain't in it. I will gladly put that video up. So I felt like I had met my spouse. I remember I was in the church on the stage, getting ready to do worship that night. During rehearsal, he comes in, and I had this like out of body experience that I can recall, and I'm like, that's my spouse. And this man ended up obviously moving to the church. I didn't know he was going to, I didn't know who he was. I literally had no idea who this man was. We become really close friends over the span of a year and a half. And we decide that he was on this 2-year commitment. He wasn't dating for 2 years. And then once his commitment was up, we had some conversation a couple months prior. He told me that he wanted to date me. I shared with him like, hey, I feel like God gave me this word about you, and we got married. The marriage in and of itself was never great. And you don't know what you don't know because you've never been married. But the thing that I felt I won't say the whole entire time, but I had this like underlying discomfort about the way that I wanted to feel. And so this is like now 2018, and social media is just just continuing to evolve, and I just have this like underlying like discontentment for my life. I just would see people interact with each other in these like very like romantic ways on socials or in person, and I'm like, that's not real. Like they're doing that for show. Like men don't really feel like that about their women. And I remember one.
And do you know why it will be such a hard concept for her to grasp? Because growing up, she didn't see it portrayed to her. So I guess that's why it's even easy for her to settle and expect less from a husband, from a
One of
man.
the first things that I was like, this is off, was we had been married for maybe 4 or 5 months, and I walk into the living room from behind the couch, and he jumped like I didn't live there, and I was just like, hey, like I live here, like, are you good? I'm like, are you okay? Because you've been like very, very, very quiet. And his response was like, yeah, like, I'm just watching TV. And I will never ever forget that moment. It was that moment for me that maybe a lot of women talk about that they have being married, where you're like, this is not the same person. And that was probably 4 or 5 months in. From there, things just went downhill, and they went downhill fast. He was always very tired, very fatigued, struggled mentally, chronic migraines, a lot of inflammation in the body, and I just couldn't quite ever put my finger on like what was wrong with this man. And so we'll go into part two. Okay.
Hmm. What do you guys think could have been the problem with the husband? Do you think the man had maybe an ailment and that he knew of, but didn't want to tell her? There are people that actually go into marriage without, without telling the other person what they're entering into. That's criminal in my own book. So yeah, come back for part two.